Welcome back to the Cozy Cottage Homestead. Today we're going to be canning ground beef. Yes, you can can ground beef. When you find it on sale, you go ahead and can it. Here in the South, we have hurricane season, so I don't like to put everything in the freezer. If you can it, it'll be good and easy, pre-cooked, ready to use and cook if you want to make a meal. It's very fast, very simple, very easy. Today I will be canning about 30 pounds of ground beef. I'll show you the steps as I move along through them. I have my frying pan ready. I can do about 5 pounds at a time. That'll be about half of that big roll. After I brown it, you want to brown it till it's lightly pink, not completely done, because it will finish cooking in the canning process. I will strain it to get the grease out of it. Put my ground beef right here in this glass pan. I have my lids back here. I haven't turned them on yet. It's going to take me a little while to brown all the ground beef to get them simmering. In the oven, I have my washed mason jars, and they will be sanitized in the oven. I have the rest of my canning stuff out, ready to go. I have my vinegar with a clean paper towel. I have my rings in a bag so they don't fall off my counter. Everything is out and ready for the process. The first thing you're going to do is ground the ground beef and leave it a little pink because it will finish cooking in the process. Alright, so I have half of that big roll in the frying pan. My husband's going to be next door. We're both going to be frying up about 5 pounds at a time. And when we get them all fried up, we'll show you the step of how to put them in jars and prepare them for the pressure cooker or a pressure canner. I don't know how well y'all can see. I know there's a glare from the window, but you just want to lightly brown it, leave a little pink in it. I know I've repeated myself several times on that. Some people think they have to cook it till it's all the way cooked. That's absolutely not necessary, because when you put it in a pressure canner, it's going to finish cooking it. Now I'm not going to bore y'all with the whole 30 pounds. I just want to show you the first little batch. I will turn the camera off, and after we get it all finished, we'll come back and show you the next step. I have a Homesteader DVD. It is very good. It's mostly like based on the Amish people, how they do things. And if it weren't so hot here in the South, the other way of doing it would be put all of your ground meat in a big, large baking pan, like a cake pan or something with high sides on it. And they would literally fill up their oven and cook a lot of it at one time in the oven. But it's just too hot, and I just go ahead and do it on the stove top. Some people don't drain the grease. They claim that it has more flavor if you leave the grease. I personally don't like it greasy, so I drain it and then fill it up with hot water up to the neck of the jar. You can add salt and pepper if you want to, but it's really up to you. Some people add garlic powder, onion powder, salt and pepper. Some people even put beef bouillon in it. We try to do it as frugal as possible, so we just put the bare minimum in it. Sometimes I put salt, sometimes I don't put a lot of salt, just depends, because the meat will be bland. But if you're like me, whenever I cook, I'm going to probably add more salt and pepper and season and spices to it anyway, so I don't really do a lot of extra to the ground meat. I just can it. Had to go pull my hair up. Forgot about it being down. I'm guessing the 30 pounds of ground beef will do about 25, 26 pints, the regular mouth pints, because the cooked ground meat is really easy to get out the jars. So I save the wide mouth pints for other things that's hard to get out. And 1 pint gives you close to a pound of ground meat, which is what we usually use in most of our recipes. Now I have canned it in jelly jars. So if it's just a small meal that you want to make, you don't have to use the whole entire pound of ground meat. I've been canning ground meat for about 4 years now. We haven't had any problem with any of it. We've let it go like almost a year or so to see if it was still good, and it was still good. So to me, this is very frugal, a good way to preserve your ground beef. Of course, if you want hamburgers, maybe you'll have to settle for sloppy joes. But other than a meatloaf or a hamburger, which you still can make a meatloaf, but you have to do it the right way to where all the ground meat sticks together. But it's just not the same. So I always keep some ground meat in my freezer. I don't keep a lot of stuff in the freezer because I am concerned with the power grid going down, or like I said, in hurricane season, we do lose power. And we can lose power for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, lost almost a month during hurricane season. So unless you have a lot of hungry people staying with you that wants to help you eat all that food before it goes bad, it does just that. It'll go bad. By putting it in the jars and pressure canning it, there's no worries, there's no waste. You just pull out what you need. You can cook a quick meal, but no problem whatsoever. Pretty common sense, just browning your ground meat. Very simple, but it's just a lot of it in one pan. So you do want to keep stirring it around to make sure that it gets pretty done. Like I said, this part will take me a while, so I'm not going to keep y'all here the whole time while I'm doing it. I'll just do this one batch and stop the camera and come back at the next step. Still working on a few other videos. Really haven't felt that well, so I haven't gotten to put them all together. I have the footage, I have all the information, just haven't had time to put it on the computer and edit it and join all the videos together. It does take a little time, and right now it being garden season, kidding season, we got baby goats everywhere, baby rabbits, baby chickens, milking the goat twice a day. Got the garden going on, got seeds starting everywhere, got sweet potato slips already in the ground, got a few more to put in the ground. Just a busy time of the year. But I thought it was important to go ahead and show y'all how to can the ground beef for all my southerners that are here in Louisiana, so that you don't lose your whole freezer of meat. I know some other states are having problems with ground beef. So to me, just another reason to go ahead and buy it when it's on sale, so you can come home and can it, so your family will have some food to eat later on. Some people think it's just a crop, that there's no shortages coming, everything's just fine. But I say that's your right. You believe what you want, and we'll believe what we want, and we'll all just be happy and not worry about it. But everybody that I know likes to eat. So I'm not going to take a chance on not having something to feed my family if I can't find anything, or if the meat's not safe. This is almost good enough. There's a little bit more I need to go in it. My husband is over there next door helping me out because my arms have been giving me problems. The more I use them, the more they hurt. The theory of start using it and it'll get better doesn't work if you have nerve damage and arthritis. It does help to a degree, but I tend to overdo it, so then it's not good for me. But I keep trying every day, keep doing what I can do. There are days that I'm not even able to get out of bed. I've had quite a few of those in the last couple of weeks. But whenever I feel better, I just get up and get back to it and try not to overdo it. Okay, this is, I don't know if y'all can see, it's still got just a little bit of pink in it. Let's see if I can bring it a little closer without making a mess. Can't really tell. But anyway, it still has a little pink in it. It dripped a little bit on the floor, but oh well. I'll get that in a minute. So this is ready. Go ahead and cut this one off. Let me see if I can adjust the camera a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pause it right here. What I'm going to do next is strain it in the strainer right there. I have a metal colander in a glass bowl. I'm going to dump the ground meat in there, and then I'll start collecting it in my pan. As I cook it, this pan will fill up, and then we'll come back with the next step. Alright, we got 20 pounds of the ground meat finished. Now we're going to go ahead and start filling our jars with the ground meat. Tried to zoom in so y'all could see a little better. I'm going to use your canning funnel. Everything's hot. The jars are hot. The ground meat's still hot. And after you do a few jars, you kind of know how many scoops it takes. My husband's good at that. I don't count them. I just fill the jars. I'm going to show y'all a few jars just so you have an idea. After watching a few jars, you pretty much get the idea. And also, if you have a canner that will only do 7 pints, then only cook about 10 pounds of ground meat, because you're probably going to get about 7 pints, depending on how much fat is in your ground meat. If you have a larger canner that can do more, then go ahead and do more. I think ours is going to hold 17 or 18 pints. So that was our goal, was to have a full canner. I'm going to fill it up just to the neck of the jar. And I'll show you what I do if I get too much. And then you want to debubble it. Do not skip the debubbling part. It's very important so that there's no air pockets in your jar in the canning process. I feel like this jar has a little bit too much liquid. So I'm going to go ahead and use a measuring spoon because it works really well and take some of it out. The ground meat is not 100% completely cooked, so you will have some grease still come out, and you want to have enough headspace. That looks about right. Again, everything is hot, so you want to use your oven mittens. And if your house is super, super cold, you have air conditioning on, and you take your glass jars out of the oven, you could have a problem with your jars bursting. We do not have the air conditioner on, so when I get them out the oven, there's not much of a different temperature change. Just a little tip there, because some people do have problems with jars bursting. I see no point in running the air conditioner when I'm canning. All it's going to do is make the air conditioner run like crazy. The house is going to get hot. It's part of canning. See if I cannot overfill this one. And as you notice, I did not put salt in these. Ground meat unbelievably has a lot of salt in it already. Just by nature, beef has salt in it. And as I mentioned before, I like to season my food as I cook it. It has absolutely nothing to do with the processing of the ground meat, so that's up to you if you want to add seasoning, spices, or beef broth. It works either way. I'm just sharing with y'all how I do it and what has worked for me. There are lots of methods and lots of people out there showing you how to do stuff. I'm totally aware of that. My way is not the only way. I'm just sharing with some of the people that I personally know that are beginners at all this to help them learn how to can their own meat. I keep a kettle on the stove with boiling hot water. I have a backup kettle already hot, ready to go. So if this one runs out, I already have the water ready. The important thing with canning is having everything ready. You don't want to have to stop in the middle of doing this and your ground meat get cold and your jars get cold waiting on the water to come back to a boil. So it definitely helps to have everything prepared and ready. Now if I were to add salt to this, I've heard people add anywhere from a teaspoon to a half to a quarter. It really is up to you. You can add whatever you want to it. It's not going to hurt anything. But I choose not to because sometimes you never know what that dish is going to be used for. If you season it a certain way, it's only going to taste good in certain dishes. So I like to leave that option open so that I can use it in all kinds of different ways. Okay, on this one, I purposely filled it full to show you after you debubble it, it is going to go down a little bit. And if you get too much ground meat, instead of putting your fingers in there and digging it all out, use a spoon, like a measuring spoon, for the liquid, so you can get the liquid out. Should have had me a little bowl right there to put that in, but my sink's just right there. And if you were to get too much ground meat, use a clean spoon and scoop a little bit out so that you're not touching it. The least that you touch your jars, the more sanitary it's going to be, and the more likely it is that your jars are going to seal because you don't have the oils from your skin. And what my husband's doing is wiping the rims with a clean paper towel and vinegar, and then putting the lids on them that had been soaking in simmering hot water, and then puts the bands on them, finger tight. Don't crank down on it because it has something to do with the sealing process. The little gasket, if it gets too tight, it won't seal. So you want to leave it to where it's pliable, and as it cans, that's how the process works. And for those of you that are still looking for canning jars and you can't find them, I've done a little chart on some half-gallon jars and where I purchased them from. They were cheaper overall, even with the shipping, compared to Amazon and Walmart. I don't know if I can say that or not, but I just did, because I guess I can. It is Menards online. I had never actually heard of it until I went looking for the best bargain and the best deal. So I've done all the homework for everyone. It's still the best deal. They get to you pretty fast. And if they have a problem, or if you have a problem with any of your jars, all you have to do is take a picture of it, how you received it, and they will gladly replace it for you. So customer service is excellent. How many jars is that we got already? About 7. So I think y'all pretty much are getting the idea. It's really easy. It's a little time consuming, but compared to canning other things, it's really not that bad. You spend half a day canning, and then you have a bunch of meals prepared, shelf stable, and I just can't see where you could go wrong with it. If you take your time and process it and make sure everything's clean and your rims are wiped off good, you're not going to have any problems with it. This one I feel like it's got a little bit too much water, so I'm just going to take a little bit out. Very simple. Taking about a tablespoon out, because you want to make sure you have enough headspace. Alright, I mentioned earlier a video. This is, see if I can get it right, a homesteading video. It has 6 CDs. It's plain and simple living lifestyle, some Amish tips and Amish families showing you how to do homesteading. It has a ton of information for beginners. Very cute setting, very family oriented. I don't remember how much it costs, but I've watched it so many times. Whenever I get 150 subscribers, I'm going to choose someone's name, put all the names in a hat or a pot, whatever, and I'm going to send this to someone as a gift. So if you want to look it up online and purchase it for yourself, that's fine too. It's called Homesteading for Beginners. It has 6 discs. It's from the Homesteading Production, LLC. And I think there is a website. Don't see it right offhand. Oh yes, it says www.homesteadingcommunitypost.com and www.homestead-store.com. Lots of good tips. They also have a lot of good canning products and preserving products. So if y'all want to check them out and give them a shout out, see what they have. If you need some more canning supplies or homesteading supplies, they have a little bit of everything. Someone's going to be blessed with this when I hit 150 subscribers. I'm going to go ahead and cut the video off, and we'll show you the next step when we get all the jars finished. Alright, we got our pressure cooker canner filled. Ours is the, what's the quart? 21 and a half. It will hold 18 pints. It says approximately 19. We haven't figured out how to get 19, so 18 works fine for us. We have it double stacked. We have a tray on the bottom. We have 9 jars, and then the tray, and then 9 more jars. So we put it outside because it's hot. We have the water already heating up. We're using a crawfish cooker, boiler, whatever you want to call it. So we have 18 going. We will let this come to pressure, and whenever not come to pressure, we will wait until the steam comes out for approximately 10 minutes. And after it has steamed or vented for 10 minutes, we will put the gauge on there and adjust the temperature as needed to where we get to where it's a steady 10 pounds of pressure for our area. And then if the jiggler gets to jiggling too much, we'll adjust the heat so that it's not jiggling more than a couple of times per minute. And we will do this for 90 minutes for our pints. If it were quarts, it would be 1 hour and 15 or 20 minutes, I'm not sure, but for the pints, it's 90 minutes. And then you will let the pressure cooker cool off completely. Wait until the gauges go down to 0 and let it cool naturally. That process can take anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour, and I'll be back whenever the canning process is finished. Alright, the timer has gone off. All of the gauges are down to 0. It was pressure canned for 90 minutes. Then it took almost an hour for the canner to cool off. So now we're going to take a peek at the ground meat and see how the jars turned out. You do want to use a pot holder when you remove your gauge. It is still extremely hot. And you always want to be careful when you open the pot that you open it away from your face, because some steam is still in there when you open it. After we get these 18 pints out the canner, we will set them inside in a cool, dark place. Cover them up with a dish towel. Not disturb them for 24 hours. And then the next day, we'll check to see if all of them have sealed. And we'll wipe off the jars and then label them. And as you can tell, it's still bubbling because it's still processing. So don't disturb your jars after you set them out and let them cool. And we have one more round of ground meat to do, so we probably will be canning about 18 more pints. Thanks for joining me today at the Cozy Cottage Homestead. I hope y'all have learned how to can your ground meat. If you have any more questions, you can feel free to email me or leave me a comment. And don't forget to like and subscribe and share if you're interested in this kind of information about homesteading for beginners and really any level of homesteaders. I'll be sharing with you everything that I can think of to help y'all learn how to be more self-sufficient and how to can your own food. So farewell, homestead family, friends, and neighbors from the Cozy Cottage Homestead.